What they don't want you to know about bully breeds and pit bulls. Today you are going to get so much knowledge. Prepare for it. Get your pens ready. Students that want to learn about the real American Pit Bull Terrier and bully breeds and the relationship of the word pit bull to APBT, which stands for American Pit Bull Terrier, and the relationship with bully breeds. Today, 2024, is different than back in the days where there was a dog that was reigning supreme, and it was called the American Pit Bull Terrier. The people that actually know the breed, they call them American Pit Bull Terrier. The people that really know the breed, even at a deeper level, which means more profoundly, call them game dogs. And if someone call them game dogs, doesn't mean the person is an expert in game dogs. It just means that knows how to call them game dogs. So you got to be careful, because when you come in new, you get impressed with anything from anybody. So a guy that knows a little bit more than you impresses you, and if that person may be a good person, if the person is enthusiastic about a topic, which he might be wrong, or might be more than one thing could be truth at the same time. And somebody could tell you this bloodline is good, that bloodline is good, that bloodline is good, and each one of them are very enthusiastic about it. They're pushing about it. They spend 30, 40 years in the bloodline, yet that's not the best bloodline. Because this channel is only the best. So don't get confused. This is not about holding hands, singing Kumbaya, and let's all know this is only the best and only the best. So if you are not the guy that loves dogs, if you're not the guy that loves the best, if you settle for less, this is not your channel. You can actually just click out and go away right away. This is for the guys that really want the best. It's a culture about the best. So let me just tell you this. The bully breeds, the terminology bully breeds. You go back to 1970s. You go in a time machine. You know the car going back to the future. You press the thing in 1970. You go back to 1970. There is no such a thing as bully breeds. Hey, where are the bully breeds? Any bully breeds breeders? No such a thing. Back in when Google came out, back in the 90s, there was no Google. There was no bully breeds. You couldn't Google it. You put American Bully, didn't exist. And the dogs, the people that knew the dogs from the point of the real dog, the game dog. You see, you got to think about this. It's like highways. You know, a highway, a street running parallel. Different streets, different lines running parallel. And the one that has the truth is where the dog came from. It used to go pit dogs. A lot of people say and ask the question, what two dogs were mixed to create the American Pit Bull Terrier? That actually is not a very sharp question, but it's a very popular question. What two dogs got mixed to make an American Pit Bull Terrier? And the truth is that people think as these, they call them Labradoodles, they call them Doodle Doodles or whatever today, where they take a Labrador and a Poodle, they mix them, and they got a dog that is funny and they like it and so on and so forth. I don't know all the pros and cons of the dog, and I'm not bashing the dog. But you cannot do that and create an American Pit Bull Terrier. American Pit Bull Terrier is a real breed, although some people don't want to say that. And the reason why it's a real breed is because it's not just the combination of two dogs. It's way deeper and more profound. It's actually the creation of bloodlines. When you have a bloodline, you have a man that has a vision and people that follow him, that follow the vision, and they breed for certain characteristics within that particular dog and make dogs that are better and better and better with a process that is called, I call it, it's a working model. It's called a framework, where people are breeding people at a high level, not just anybody. People at a high level, they can make better decisions than people at a lower level. And so we already know that equality is out of the window. Someone knows more, and that's the person that's making decisions. So they're making a better dog with a better dog to create bloodlines. There was never a bully bloodline. There was never a blue bloodline on the mainstream of dogs that came but under the name of pit dogs. Later became American Pit Bull Terriers. By the 1850s, these dogs, from pit dogs to American Pit Bull Terriers, had 100 years in America already. 100 years. And they got the name of American Pit Bull Terriers by the men that established something called the United Kennel Club, the UKC, which has nothing to do with the UKC today. It's just the name, okay? The purpose and everything is absolutely different times, different men. And so the AKC, they spread these with their big name. They don't want these dogs. They made a first copycat of the American Pit Bull Terrier. They didn't use the word pit bull. They used a Staffordshire Terriers, and they mixed those dogs, and they had blue dogs and whatever. That's their own deal. they say they rejected the American Pit Bull just because they didn't recognize the breed. That doesn't mean that it's not a breed. And let me explain to you how that works. These people at the AKC are only desk people. Most of them, just big, fat women and lazy men on the computer, on paper, making money, providing jobs for a lot of people that are working, and they're not creating great dogs. And they make rules. They take let me give you a perfect example. They take a dog like the Dogo Argentino from Cordoba, Argentina, which I saw those dogs as working dogs, and they got these hammerheads. They look so beastly. It's incredible. They're really aggressive, and they really can put a big hog down. And they say, we're going to make a standard. We're going to recognize that breed. And so in financial terms, it means a lot of people are going to buy these dogs under their standards. And it's not going to be the same dog that was created as a dog. We're just going to take that name, and we're going to create our own standards, and we're going to have a show dog. We're going to create judges and breeders that certify and recognize, and all these words they use to create this dog Argentino and deform it and create a dog that is a weaker version of the real dog, way weaker. So when you look at a dog Argentino dog show, and it's what most people have, is absolutely a way weaker version than the real dog. The American Pit Bull Terrier in the other spectrum was always the nanny dog and the gray dog when it used to be the real performing dog as an American Pit Bull Terrier. And they become aggressive towards people when they got out of the hands of the real creators, and they become the dogs from the show dogs and the dogs that go into the breeding programs, and anybody has a registry and they start to make these pedigrees. You must understand that how it started back in the 1800s was the real tough men that had big names and were creating these particular bloodlines. They used to write down everything on paper. And then somebody says, listen, I can make a nice frame pedigree for your dog and have her, they will not even rate you. We're just giving you a certificate that looks beautiful so you can hang it in your wall with these art, these whatever designs and stuff. Like, oh, it looks nice. So they'll make it for the big guy. The big guy gets this, certificate that he can put on. Then he sells a dog to somebody, and the person wants one like the one the old man has. And they make more and more, and then, oh, we are a registry. Now we register pedigrees. Now we started to create a database. And now we got a database, and that's how it starts. And then later on, when someone comes in 1990 into the dogs, someone comes in 2024 into the dogs, they start hearing that the dog don't have the papers, then the dog is not real. But having papers doesn't mean it's real. It only is real when it comes from that particular man at the very top of the mountain. And at the very top of the mountain, the word bully breeds was never in the American Pit Bull Terriers. So when they say that they say that Pitbull, which is a nickname, so you understand the word Pitbull, is only related to American Pit Bull Terriers. The word Pitbull is only related to American Pit Bull Terriers. Why is only related to American Pit Bull Terriers? Because it's in their name, American Pit Bull Terriers. And they used to call them pit bulls for short term. They used to call them pit bulls. They used to call them game dogs. And those game dogs, three ways to call them: pit bulls, APBTs, American Pit Bull Terriers, and game dogs. Four different, and then bulldogs. They call them bulldogs as well because it's a terminology, it's an old story, but they call them bulldogs as well. They say, oh, he's a bulldog means he's a game dog. And the word gameness, again, it comes from courage. And courage and loyalty are twin brothers. And you're learning these concepts from Chico Lopez. So those dogs that have the loyalty will always have more, or most of the times will have more loyalty to the owners, and the connection to start become very, very professional, because the breeders were looking for smart dogs, and some breeders were looking for what they call barnstormers and stuff like that, and guys want to have mouth, gameness, blah. This conversation became a topic within this street of dogs. In the other street, which is a weaker road, then you have the guys that have an American Staffordshire Terrier, which is not a real pit bull. They took pit bulls and mixed them with other dogs to call them American Staffordshire Terriers. They're not real pit bulls. They don't have the process of development, the process of creation. They had a standard, and pit bulls didn't have a standard. American Pit Bull Terriers, APVT, game dogs didn't have a standard. They didn't need a standard. You see, whenever you see someone coming in and say, this is the standard of the breed, this is the standard, you ask yourself, which dog is this where the standard started? This dog. The standard of this dog came from which standard? It didn't come from any standard. It came from a framework that created the dog, which in framework means a process of creation to make that one dog. So that dog didn't have to have a standard to become great. Now you make a standard to have other dogs that are not on the level to look like him so they can be real. Don't make any sense. It only makes sense when someone wants to preserve a breed per se and have dog shows. But you stop preserving the breed when you start polluting the books and polluting the breed, the so-called name of the breed, and mixing it with other stuff and accepting a lot of BS. It's a very difficult topic when you come to certain registries that want to preserve the traditions of the American Pitbull Terrier because they have a little respect, or they have some respect, I will say, to their ancestors, their parents, or whatever. It takes, they used to know some game dogs, and so, they want to keep it as possible, but they still need to be in business. And the problem is that when you didn't promote the real American Pitbull Terrier, when you didn't have a voice of power or leadership at a high level for you to influence, like I'm influencing you right now with the truth, with the stuff that really matters, it's very difficult for you to preserve integrity within your ranks, okay? When you give more word to someone that is just a judge and not a creator. A judge, listen, you know how many guys I helped to become judges? And these guys maybe touch a really high-level quality game dog when they probably came to me and touched one of my dogs. That's it. Everything they judge is a dog that came from this lady has a dog, that came from that lady, from that guy, water down, from some guy in some place. That's what they got. And so having show dogs, these dogs in Europe or whatever it be, South America, Mexico, whatever, these show dogs, they might look pretty to some people that don't know what a real dog is. If you want to know what a real dog is, you really just Google Ciega the Great APVT, and you start to look at that dog. That dog, the man that created the standard called the dog the best, closest thing to a real American Pitbull Terrier. This is the American Pitbull Terrier, he said. And then when he looks at that, he said, how the dog is bred? Oh, it's from Chico Lopez. I knew it. My eye can pick the right dog from the right man. That's the right dog from the right man is Ciega the Great, the global grand champion dog of the year, not in the United States. So the guys in the United States are like, oh my God, we control the world. No, you're not. It's a dog that was not born in the United States, was never stepped in the United States, of course, but he never did anything in the United States other than play around with Yorkies. And so when it comes to the street level, the street people up in the Bronx, when I started back in 1996, those guys didn't know. For them, a real pit bull is a dog that has papers. And it's still back in 1990, we didn't know the word bully. They were banned dogs. They were dogs that were trained for the purpose. They call them working dogs. They use them for cattle. They use them for protection. But they not real pit bulls. They were banned dogs. And those banned dogs, they took them and they said, we're looking for a certain look. And that is a problem. When someone is looking for a look and not looking for the real thing. When you look for the real thing, whatever the real thing is, whatever it is at the very top of the mountain, and whatever that looks like, that's the real thing. And the reason is, so you take a look at the dogs from John P. Kobe back in the 1900s and say, Chico, but John P. Kobe dogs are not real dogs? Well, John P. Kobe dogs, when he was alive, back in the days, some of his dogs and other men within generations were the real dogs. And a lot of the dogs that we have today, the great super dogs, they come in, they go back in the pedigree to some dogs from John P. Kobe. And that's perfect. But John P. Kobe dogs did not go through the process of development. They stepped out of the process of development. The moment they stepped out of the process, they lose their performance. They lose. Other dogs continue to the process, an evolution process. It's not an evolution process, but it's a development process. And through that development process, which is similar to evolution process, where something will become better, not to survive, but in this case to perform, and they become better and better and better. Because so the adaptation of evolution is to survive into a new environment, and the adaptation of the framework of the American Pitbull Terrier is to become better. So it's different. So when you have a standard of a dog, you want to have a cookie cutter that makes a dog that looks like the older dog. The American Pitbull Terrier don't have that. American Pitbull Terrier is a different animal. The American Pitbull Terrier is a dog that wants to become better and better and better. But if you're far away from the man, the real man, then you don't have that process, because the real man is the one that creates the great dog. And in the great dog, the dog is the standard and is not made because of the standard. Of course, we're in new times, times change, and I do believe the dog shows for American Pit Bull Terriers are important. The problem with the dog shows in American Pit Bull Terrier world is that are controlled by a little group of judges who have been very dedicated to the process of developing clubs and so on and so forth, and it becomes very fickle. Whenever you put humans involved, it becomes fickle. Whenever you have, even for me, like I don't like my clients talking among each other, because when they do, everything becomes fickle. We as humans have the ability, we have this liberal side, we have this conservative side, that when they mix together, it becomes really fickle. And so you have this stuff that you take humans, you put them together, and it becomes shit. It's best, to have influence from the man, and you do what you have to do, and you continue going forward. You enjoy your dog. It's the best way. Every time you put the people in a group, it becomes garbage. Like myself, I don't want to. I could have a lot of followers, but I will never have a group of like. The only thing you could be is a group of guys that own my dogs, but I don't want these people like having barbecues and stuff like that. People just damage everything when it comes to the American Pit Bull Terrier. I don't know why. It's a challenge that I always have, trying to think and develop why this is happening. But I want to tell you this. The terminology bully was never part of American Pit Bull Terrier. That terminology, bully breeds, doesn't belong to the American. So the guys that created this mess, like the guy that actually started back in 1985, I think the name is Dad Wilson. There was a video that I look in Bully TV, whatever it is. You can look at the interview. It's a long video, but if you look at him talking, he says, it'll take 100 years for us to have a breed, and that was made 8 years ago. And he come back and he said, listen to me, these dogs, everybody's breeding their own form, their own thing, and they get out of the whack and they come back, and it's a big problem for him because you have so many hens in the cookie yard. The cookies get destroyed, and it has a horrible situation. Now they got this Kimbo gene. You can text me 806-500-5552, 806-500-5552, and I'll send you for free the Kimbo link. You can study the story about the Kimbo link, the Kimbo genetic part that is in Molonais. That's how you say it, Molonais? Belgian Molonais. That is inside the American Bully XLs, which is inside the XL Pitbull. XL Pitbull, which is not a real Pitbull, it's a fake Pitbull. They all have the same gene, and basically you got a dog that could be calm for 6, 7, 8 years, wake up, wants to kill you, snap, take your head off. And so it is a huge problem for those people. Yet you have good dogs, and you're going to have, like in the fake pit bulls, you're going to have people that got lucky. Their dog got sparkles of the good dogs, and the dog is really a great pet. And that person loves his dog, and maybe you don't like the fact that I might say the dogs are fake and blah, blah, blah. But if you are a person that want to know the truth, even if it hurts, because you want to be on the right side of the story, then welcome. You're welcome, because I'm making these videos. I'm not getting paid, and I'm monetized. I'm doing this because I want to teach people. I want to educate people. And for me, that's important, because one day I was a rookie and I almost made the mistake, and someone saved me from making that mistake. And I will have to say that I want to have these for the new generations. I don't know if I can rescue every bully guy. I don't know if I can rescue him to understand, change their mind and maybe, I don't know. But I can certainly be an option within the path of options, and the smart people will always try to get the best option, and the smart people might find me, and some of them might be rescuable in terms like they say, what, I was like a guy just called me, he said, man, you opened my eyes, I've been lied all my life, and I had a feeling it was a lie. There's no way these dogs is a real breed, and everything is like, okay, this is a bully, a big frame, a small frame, or whatever. This is like walking to a park and saying that dog is a small dog, big dog. They are so deformed. Some of them look like frogs, some of them Coca-Cola side, they call them the micros, they call them this. It's an entire charade of deformation, and everything happens because the American Pit Bull Terrier lost territory. American Pit Bull Terriers lost their brand within the community of American people. Why did they lose their brand? Very simple. Old-timers used to sell dogs for $1 to anyone, and that is the main problem. Everything started with the breeders, and they tell them, if you buy this male and they buy this female, you can start breeding. And when they start breeding, they start creating this culture of everybody breeds dogs, and this culture of everybody breeds dogs is absolutely a cancer for all breeds. You know, you want your children to have children, perfect. Your dog, you treat it like a child, but it's not your child. It's a different process. Understand this part. And when you have these dogs and they have 10 puppies, you don't know what to do with the 10 puppies. If your daughter has one son, you got a grandson. You got 2 grandsons. You have 3, maybe. Very rarely you have 3 children on this. But if you have a 1 litter of puppies, you have 10 puppies, 8 puppies. You can handle them. You cannot keep them all. They're very high maintenance dogs. You give them to other people. Those people get them for free. Free means nothing. It's garbage. They breed them themselves. They give them away. And now you have to open up shelters so you can have these dogs coming into the shelters. Big problem. Big problem. And when those dogs that are mixed already by all these people become a problem, those dogs become, they call them pit bulls. They're not real pit bulls. They didn't come from the right man. They're not real American pit bull terriers. And then that's how these men back in 1985 to 1995, more or less, there was a huge problem because they got these big blue dogs. Mostly were blue. Some of them were brindle with big old heads, which I almost bought one because sadly, shamefully, those dogs were advertising in only American Pit Bull Terrier magazine. So when I look at the magazine and I only had one dog, was a street-level dog, and I wanted to get into the American Pit Bull Terrier world, I look at the magazine, I look at this advertising of this dog where they're measuring the size of the head. And I said, well, I want to come into the American Pit Bull Terrier with a bang. I want to come in like a boom. So I'm going to buy this big old head dog. And this guy told me, he said, that is a BS dog. That's a fake pit bull. And I said, but you know, this is magazines. The magazine don't mean nothing. These people are corrupted. And so they will, as long as you have money to advertise, they will give preference to have advertised. And there was a kennel called the Land of the Giants. Pit bulls never been giants. So this is not a real pit bull. And so some of these breeders, they deformed the dogs. The so-called American Pit Bull Terrier breeders from back in the 70s, from back in the 80s, they were selling those dogs, game dogs, for $500, $400, giving them away to friends. And when this blue big head dog came through, those dogs back in the 90s were $15,000, $10,000, $20,000. And rappers were like getting into it. And so what happens is the guys that had the pit bulls, they say, I'm going to drop the pit bull. I'm going to move into these fake pit bulls and I'm going to sell them. And they're too quiet. Shh. They started selling them as pit bulls. They betrayed the American Pit Bull Terrier breed. That's why they called me today. He says, I want to get a dog for my son and my daughter. And I said, but you're a breeder, right? Yeah, no, but I breed bullies. You know, they're not the real deal. I had one when I was a kid. My grandfather gave me one. I had his dogs, but I sold them and I got into these now. And but I want my kids to have that experience. You betrayed the breed. How can I trust you? I don't work with breeders. So I'm not here trying to sell you a dog. I'm here to educate you. You know, selling a dog is a very difficult thing for me because I only want to deal with the higher level people, higher education, higher mind, higher IQ, people that will take care of the dogs, people that are going to love their dogs. That's the only people I'm looking for. The best people. I select the best dogs to make the best dogs. I want to have the best people. And I make mistakes in the past. You know, I give a chance to people because of their nationality or because they kiss my ass. Now I understand, hey, listen, you're kissing my ass too much. Maybe you are not good. And so on and so forth. Humanity is fickle in general. So now you know that the word bully, breeds, was never attached or married to pit bulls. You cannot mix them together. And so when you make a mess and you want to justify that this mess has some value, they start calling them pit bull umbrella term. That was one of the most disgusting things I ever heard. Pit bull umbrella term. Pit bull has never been an umbrella term for nobody. Before those guys that said that pit bulls was an umbrella term, there was never a pit bull called umbrella term until they call it umbrella term. So in the American Pit Bull Terrier, by the time they call it umbrella term, American Pit Bull Terriers were American Pit Bull Terriers for nearly 200 years. So you go figure who's right and who's wrong. I'm here for the truth, the facts, to inspire you. Do not become a breeder. Don't become a breeder. Don't breed your dog. Love your dog. Don't breed him. I give you example. The first dog I ever had, Bruno Boy, I didn't breed him. I could have breed into all the females I have, and I didn't breed him because I knew he was a great dog for me, but I knew it was a mistake if I bred him. And I hope that you follow the sample. Because some people say, oh, you tell people not to breed, but you breed. Well, it's different things. When it was time not to breed, I didn't breed. When it's time for me to create great dogs, I didn't breed dogs all my life. I started breeding some dogs for 30 dogs maybe a year for great people. And I want this. So I want the great people. I want the doctors, the lawyers, the engineers. You know, I have guys that call me and say, man, you know, no, listen, if you smell like something like trouble, I'm sorry. I'm not the guy that's giving opportunities. I'm not a liberal guy. I'm a conservative person. So if you smell like something bad, like trouble, listen, God bless you, and I hope you find your way. But I'm not here to save the manatees and to provide you all this stuff. I'm not, okay? I don't want people to breed my dogs. So I'm not working with breeders. The first line of people looking to buy my dogs are breeders because they want to mix them with the dogs that they already have. And I don't want to do that. So my name is Chico Lopez, always 123pitbulls.com, always therealpitbull.com, always 806-500-5552. I'm making these videos. I cannot text with you all day, holding hands, singing Kumbaya, Chico Lopez talking with me. It sounds beautiful. I make these videos so I can educate thousands of people, so share them. But I can't talk with everybody. The only people that I'm willing to talk and entertain are the people that are high level. They're great people. They're never going to breed the dogs, and they want to have a dog directly from the man, Chico Lopez himself. They want the best, nothing but the best. They would not settle for less. I sell to people. You don't have to be rich, but you have to be a man of honor. And it's very difficult for people that they don't really cannot afford great things in life to get something great and preserve it. Very difficult. So it's a difficult world when it comes to the American Pitbull Terrier. 34 years in dogs in 1990. Most successful breeder ever in history of real American Pitbull Terrier. Not successful because I sell the most. I'm actually sell so little, it's incredible. I should not even be considered a breeder in terms of breeding dogs and selling dogs, because my merits and my accolades and my leadership is really what sets me apart from everybody. The quality of dogs I breed, the customers I have, which are high level, are also a way to define my work, my body of work. But I'm not the one that sells the most dogs. I'm not looking for the masses. The masses is where you have trouble, you have opinions, you have feelings, you have a whole bunch of BS, and I don't want to deal with those people. I want to educate a few guys, and that's it. God bless you. Take care. Bye-bye.